Allah commanded Moses when he first met him at the bush, and he says, throw down your stick. Who knows the exact word, and you're not involved in this, or you, okay? Who knows the exact word that Allah referred to what happened to the stick? فَإِذَا هِيَ حَيَّةٌ تَسْعَى. Okay? Then when he was brought in front of the court of Pharaoh, and now he's being challenged as a prophet, and then Allah told him, throw the stick down, and then it was فَإِذَا هُوَ ثُعْبَانٌ مُبِينٌ. The dad of the sheikh doesn't work. Okay? Okay. So, and then, back to Za'al, whenever now they bring all of the master sorcerers, and they all bring, and they're going to turn them all into snakes. And then he says, throw your stick down, and says, فَإِذَا هِيَ تَلْقَفْ مَا صَنَعُوا. Right? He's like, I know for sure. He just read it. Okay. So, the word hayya in Arabic refers to a small, like a garden snake. You know that? It's a small snake. Hayya, right? Thu'ban is like a boa constrictor. It's huge, right? So in the case where Moses is just now meeting Allah Azza wa Jal by hearing him in some direct format, after facing a new sense of revelation and purpose and meaning in life, God tells him this stick, which he was so proud to tell him all about his stick. He says, now just throw it down. And so if it turns into a thu'ban, what might happen to Moses? He runs full speed the opposite direction. It doesn't have nothing to do with this bush. Right? But the fact that it turned into a small snake, he was, oh wow, that's amazing. He's like, pick it up, and it came back normal. Now when he's going in front of Pharaoh's court, if it becomes hayya, what do you think the Pharaoh's going to think? What kind of magic is this? Yeah. Now here's the interesting thing. There is no ayah in the Quran, it comes up twice. There is no ayah where it says that when he threw his staff down after they brought all the sorcerers, that it becomes a snake. And if it was, would it have been thu'ban or hayya? Which one? Thu'ban, the big one. If they're putting, but when he says it, فَإِذَا هِيَ تَلْقَفْ مَا صَنَعُوا. So there are many commentators that said what was even more miraculous is that when he threw his staff down, when they threw all of theirs and it became snakes, that his staff as a staff went bouncing around, swallowing up all of those snakes. And then he picked it up. Now we call this i'jaz bayani fil Quran. Al-i'jaz al-bayani. The miraculous way of wording, because if you think about the specific and the suitable nature of all of these specific wordings in specific situations, this is not the work of an illiterate guy in the middle of the desert just coming up with stories that he heard from some Jews, as the story goes. So I want to make sure that we know that there are whole PhD theses of hundreds and hundreds of pages with many examples of this point that I just made. So I know many people, most of you probably not Arabs in the crowd, but even those of you that are Arabs, I would راجعوا البلاغة والأدب حتى إن شاء الله تفهم علينا إن شاء الله شوية. So we want to make sure that we return to the beauty of this language, because the musta'mirin, they did a number on us, right? The idea of it being weird and strange for a normal Arab to talk the language of the Quran is unacceptable. Not only was it the great Sheikh Hassan al-Banna, a shaheed, but also Sheikh Mustafa al-Adawi, who's a well-known Salafi hadith scholar from Egypt, who wrote a whole point about this in a book, that the colonialists want us to lose al-fusha. They want us to make some street language where the average person all over the Arab world would open up the Mus'haf and maybe get half of it. So I highly encourage, when I open up for an Arabic language in Arabic class, if you haven't studied Al-Ajur Rumiyya, then we need to study it. If you're ready for Qatar al-Nada, we can do it. Okay? And that's what we need to take that path, those of us that know Arabic. Those of you who don't know Arabic, inshallah, if you find the time, great. If not, do everything you can to be the best believer you can, and don't feel some sort of inferiority complex because you're not able to learn a whole new language, because all prophets were sent to humanity from many languages, right? And the only one of them was Arab, was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hud and Salih were before Arabi was anything like it is in the Quran. This is a proto-Semitic Arabi in the peninsula. So I wanted to bring a couple of points here, okay? When we look at the ayahs that he read, when these sorcerers who have been living their life learning how to, by the way, Imam al-Baydawi has a beautiful point. He says that there's a يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى, that they weren't actually sorcerers who have Harry Potter skills to turn things into actual. This was actually what we see now with David Blaine, David Copperfield. They were masters of the psychology of human perception, and they had like snakes in their deal like this. And so one goes, shoots back, and the other one comes out, that kind of a thing, right? But when they saw that staff do what that did, فَأُلْقِيَ السَّحَرَةُ سُجَّدًا. When they saw the miracle, that they knew is not trickery. This is not magic. This is not sorcery. This is a miracle. This is beyond the laws of nature. They went down in prostration. And so as they're prostrate, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired them to their faith. They told everybody, we are prostrating in faith to the Lord of Moses and Aaron. We are following him from now on. Our whole lives have just been changed because we have witnessed this miracle. And then when Pharaoh, what did he say? Look, guys, I'm going to have to put you in jail. Is that what he said? Or did he say, I'm going to string you up on a crucifix and cut off your hands and legs and all that stuff, right? That's what he said. Now, what would you do, right? What would you do if somebody strung you up and they said, you need to get rid of this deen? Stop following this religion of Islam, or we're going to cut your legs and hands off. Would you be these people who witnessed that miracle? So now we have to review, have I seen the miracle? Do I know of the miracles of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? A lot of us, we're going on fitrah. It's a natural connection to believe the oneness of God, the accountability to him, a feeling that everything here has a purpose and I should be serving the purpose of creation's orderly, good, positive reality. That's natural. I should not be a harmful, destructive individual. That's natural. But to be able to say, I know for sure that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in fact based on evidence, not based on family tradition, or I'm just going on faith. I accept it because that's what I've been told, and I'm told not to question things in my family tradition. We must come to actualize the many miracles surrounding the most miraculous human being in history. And I don't say that because like I'm just blinded by my faith as the imam or whatever. I was previously Christian, and whenever I combined and looked at these different traditions and their background and what they say and what they did, it was a very clear, obvious truth versus a bunch of confused human efforts of coming up with some beliefs. And so we as Muslims in this country, if we're going to impress upon people, if we're going to truly be prostrating in the face of serious danger, we have to know, what are those prophecies? Why did all those Jews ended up converting to Islam? Why did all of those people from Syria and other places who had hidden their faith, going along with the Trinity for centuries in fear of death, but when they met Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's followers, they said, we've been waiting for this. It's written in the tafsirs. Ibn Kathir got a lot of his stuff from Christians who converted to Islam. They call them Israeliyat. And so those people knew that there was something coming. You know the story of Salman al-Farisi. Both a Christian and a Jew told him, he's saying, I was told by a rabbi, I was told by a priest that there will be a great prophet come from that land. The Jews who lived there before migration were there, and they said, because we're waiting for this prophet. And they threatened the Arabs of Medina, which was called Yathrib back then, that when our great prophet comes, you better watch out, you will become our subjugates. And then he came. And he saw and he conquered, right? And here we are, all the way across the ocean.